Video games are typically built around the promise of escapism. You enter a world designed to let you bend reality, test boundaries, and break those rules to create your own alternate outcome. But what happens when you build a game designed for the exact opposite purpose? Enter the Corkman universe. This is an interactive system and highly governed archive built entirely on real civic headlines from Cork, Ireland. The stories inside this ecosystem are never generated fiction. They are strictly documented records of local culture, community disputes, and sporting events, all codified into an immutable physical book. This creates a massive problem for standard game design. If you allow players to use traditional escapist mechanics to bend a story, you immediately degrade the historical truth of the people involved. To protect the local canon, the gameplay itself has to change. This technical layout shows the physical form of the Corkman record. It's an A4 flat plan book where the editorial truth, the verbatim headline, the year, and the context is permanently locked into the layout on the left, paired with the canonical artwork on the right. Keeping an archive locked in this rigid format keeps the facts safe, but it keeps them static. The moment you open an archive to public play, you risk interpretive drift, the gradual distortion of the original events through audience participation. The creators faced a strict design challenge. They needed a way to let an audience physically interact with this history without giving them the power to mock, alter, or disrespect the established facts. The only way to safeguard the archive was to engineer a system where the gameplay mechanics act as the primary barrier against historical erosion. This brings us to the game codex and the primary instruments used to play this system, scraps. A scrap is not a standard playing piece. It is a documented historical fragment of Corkman's journey that has been distilled into a tactical card. The game consists of 156 of these cards, printed on micro-perforated sheets that are housed strictly in the back sections of the physical book. To maintain control, these cards are locked into 5 strict categories: honor, sham, event, modifier, and scraper. Each category is bound by rigid behavioral rules. For example, Corkman can never be depicted as violent, and he never mocks a citizen. By locking the artwork and tone to these rules, the cards act as highly controlled vehicles. They safely deliver verified local events out of the archive and into the unpredictable hands of the public. Once the cards are in play, player behavior is managed by a core mechanic called the respect economy. In traditional games, you achieve victory through power-based dominance. Here, you earn points exclusively by adhering to the historical integrity of the record. If a player attempts speculative, invented, or disrespectful play, the system mechanically punishes them by actively deducting points from their score. When disputes arise at the table, players turn to the ultimate enforcement tool, the physical book's card index. To settle a dispute, players must mechanically trace the identification number on their played card back to the index. This proves their move matches a verbatim headline and the exact year it was published, establishing objective proof. This setup creates a brilliant psychological loop. The respect economy manipulates player behavior so that protecting historical facts becomes the most selfish, mathematically advantageous strategy available to them. This philosophical protection extends directly to the physical design of the book, right at the exact moment a game begins. To play, the user is required to perform a destructive act. They must physically rip the 156 perforated scraps out of the book's back sections. Because of the flat plan's architectural engineering, this mass extraction has zero effect on the core editorial archive. The primary record remains completely intact at the front of the book. Sitting between the safe editorial section and the extracted game pieces is a mandatory transition page that carries an explicit message. All cards removed, the record remains. The physical extraction of the cards perfectly mirrors the philosophical system. You can handle the history, you can play with the pieces, but you cannot consume, diminish, or destroy the original truth. The card game carries a specific archival intent, elevating it from a standard tabletop game into a system of cultural preservation. It is an engine for interactive verification. The mechanics force players to continuously circle back to the primary source material in order to secure their points. This loop shifts the player's primary role. By constantly cross-referencing facts to secure a win, the gamer becomes a rigorous auditor of their own local history. The system proves that game mechanics can function as something beyond fantasy simulations. They can be weaponized to anchor a community to documented reality. In this universe, local legends are celebrated and local mistakes are reviewed, but through the rigorous mechanics of play, they are mathematically prevented from ever being rewritten.